Kimber Pro Carry 2, a 1911 chambered in .45 holding 8+1 rounds. Can you believe that this was my first EDC and I carried small of back, no less? But shh, listen to this, listen to this. Oh, it's just so crisp and clean. I absolutely love it. All right, one more time. I started carrying a gun when I first turned 21. In fact, I went to the courthouse literally the day after my birthday to apply for my permit. And man, there are so many things that I wish I knew when I first got into shooting. And you're in luck because today I'm gonna share some of those things with you, and make sure you keep watching until the end because I did save the best for last. So here are 5 hacks, shooting, training, and all gun stuff that I wish I had known about sooner. It just occurred to me, how many of you all thought that I was making a video about my Kimber? That would have been a really good intro. Number 1. Some guns have multiple trigger walls. As you probably know, most guns have some slack in the trigger that when you pull to the back of that, you come up on what's called the trigger wall. At this point, any more pressure and the trigger breaks. Now this gun in particular in 1911, you only have one trigger wall. So once I come up there, it immediately breaks. And that's one of the wonderful things about 1911s is how crisp and clean and simple their triggers are. Now the downside is you only get 8 or 9 trigger presses, which isn't a whole lot, but the ones that you do get are pretty awesome. Now this gun, Glock 17 Gen 5, has 2 trigger walls. So when I pull the trigger, you come up to right there, and that's your first one. And then if I keep putting pressure, I come up to right there, and then at that point, any more pressure and the trigger will break. Now my current EDC, the SIG P365 XL, has a wonderful trinity of walls. Yes, you heard that correct. There are 3. Here's 1, probably what you thought was the only one, then 2, and 3, and finally you get the break. It's not a squishy break, it's honestly a nice clean trigger. It just has a little bit of a stutter. Now, why does this even matter? If you're just prepping your trigger and coming to that first wall, then you're not actually fully prepping your trigger. And I guarantee you, if you spend the time training, finding that final wall and fully prepping your trigger, it will significantly improve more difficult shots like shots at distance. Number 2, use weighted dummy rounds for dry firing. Now make sure that you do in fact get weighted dummy rounds and not just standard snap caps. I'll go ahead and link these below so that you can find them. These are 115 grain, I believe, and as you can see, they're pretty much exactly the same size as a regular round. Now there are 2 primary times that these are super helpful in dry fire. First is when you're practicing reloads, you want your magazine to feel exactly the same as if you had live ammunition in it. The only way to achieve that is to put dummy rounds in it. The second time that it's really helpful for me in particular on the 365 XL or any of the 365s is this grip module is just so lightweight that unless I have a loaded magazine in there, the pistol just doesn't feel the same. Ideally, if you can, having 2 magazines dedicated to dry fire that are always filled with dummy rounds is the way to go. Hack number 3, this is also related to dry fire. Take a little piece of cloth or paper and put it in the chamber of the gun so that your slide stays out of battery. This way you can keep pressing that trigger and it'll just keep springing back. Now I know the trigger is not really weighted anymore, but it's still super helpful for working on decreasing your split times, doing drills that are a little bit faster, and eliminating trigger freeze because you're having to bring your finger fully off the trigger every single time. Number 4, use scaled dry fire targets in a designated area to train. So this is kind of a 2-in-1. First is use these targets, and secondly, have a designated place that you can dry fire so that all you have to do is grab your gun and get straight to work. Basically, these are just scaled down versions of the full-size USPSA cardboard targets that you can use on the range. And this one is a 1/3 size. So if I put this at 1 foot away from me, it'll appear the same visual size as a full-size target at 1 yard away. If I put it at 10 feet, which is what I have currently set up in my office, then it'll look like a full-size target at 10 yards. Super helpful, super affordable. I'll link below so that you can pick some up. Number 5, use a shot timer for live fire and dry fire. There's basically 2 metrics, roughly speaking, to shooting: accuracy and speed. The closer you are, the more speed matters. The further away you are, the more distance matters. I can't tell you the number of times that I've gone to the range training with a friend and they pick up their gun and they go bang, 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 bang. Oh wow, look what a great group. If that's you, I want to encourage you, you are not training. And if you want to get better, you won't get better that way. A shot timer is one of the best tools to be able to incorporate that speed metric into your training. If you need to set some money aside to take away from ammo, which I would never say to do otherwise, do so. Pick up a shot timer. They're a little pricey, but it's 100% worth the investment. And that's it for today. I hope you found this video helpful. I sincerely wish someone had sent me something like this 10 to 15 years ago. If you know anyone who's new to shooting, then please share it with them. And then don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want more content from me. As always, be civil, stay savage, and I'll see you in the next one.